Welcome, guys. This is Mike Cesarini, and this is Tammy Perchowski. I would like to remind everybody that Annelle Guthrie was going to be here. She fell ill this evening and was not able to make it. She wants to be here, but could not. Thank you guys for being here. Give me just a second, we'll get started. Well, my guys aren't back yet, though, are they? Well, I'll have plenty of time to get to my seat. I've got those questions down there at my seat. Oh, yeah. Well, that's fine. Well, Brandon's on his way. Mike, if you would, go ahead and introduce yourself.
How much time do I have?
1 minute.
It takes me a long time to introduce myself. My name is Mike Cesarini, Commissioner for District 3. I'll be asking for your vote for re-election. For those that don't know me, I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was raised in a small town in West Virginia. We weren't the poorest town in West Virginia, but we were in the running. Can you hear me all right? We had dirt roads, trailers parked along the road, a lot of cars up on blocks. Let you know I'm from humble beginnings. At 8 years old, I got my first job in a paper route. 6 days a week, rain, snow. Started with 32 papers, and when I gave it up when I was 16, I had 145 papers. Doesn't sound like a lot, but for every day on a bicycle, at the most, I made $10 a week. Considering my mother made $40 a week working in a factory, that was a lot of money. At 10 years old, I bought my first piece of property. It was a vacant lot at a tax sale. Just let you know that I have a background in pinching pennies. I think that's part of my strong suit. I see my job as a county commissioner of watching your money and making sure that we don't waste it. Thank you.
1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you, Scott. My name is Tammy Perchowski. My husband and I bought a farm here on the north end of the county 32 years ago. Raised our 3 beautiful children. It's the most beautiful county in the state. We were from North Alabama, so it was kind of flat down there. I really love the rolling hills, so we just loved making our home here. Immediately upon arrival, we started getting involved with the community because we knew this is where we're going to raise our family. We really wanted to get rooted in. Got involved with the Boy Scouts, right? Scout troops, ball teams, ballet dance. I taught ballet and tap for 14 years. One of the most rewarding jobs I held here was I was the host of the Pulaski TV Today. And I was able to showcase our beautiful county and focus on positive impact topics for 7 years. I was in the Pulaski Rotary Club for 8 years. I've served on the Advisory Council for Columbia State Commercial Entertainment Program. I've been on the board of directors for the Boys and Girls Club and the Chamber of Commerce. I'm currently the co-chair of the council, Advisory Council on Inclusive Recognition and Acknowledgement, where we focus on building up and not tearing down. Many of you know me from Star Theater. I've served on the board there for 17 years, the past 7 being the executive director, doing everything from marketing, producing, grant writing, and talk about penny pinching. When you run a nonprofit, you really do know how to penny pinch. So I'm versed in that for certain. I'm an advocate for strong education in a community with an emphasis on arts and historic preservation. In a nutshell, I'm a people person. I have a passion for the lives of all Giles Countyans. I've immensely enjoyed being a leader in all of these capacities in our community, and I just want to take this to the next level. I am very excited about the opportunity, and I am humbly asking for your vote as commissioner for Giles County.
All right, guys. All right,
question number one, and we'll start with Mr. Cesarini.
Thank you.
Paying to keep county employees, including teachers in Giles County, is an ongoing problem. How do you propose the county commission balance the responsibility for fiscal responsibility and the need for commensurate pay for county employees?
This was a question that was brought up last night. If money was no problem, how could we improve the teachers' pay? It comes down to priorities. It comes down to deciding what is important, what is the most important. I come from a family of educators. My wife taught for 32 years. My sister taught for 30 years. My daughter's a teacher. My niece is a teacher. My other sister's a teacher. I understand that to become a teacher is a calling. You have to have it in your heart, but it shouldn't be a sacrifice. And I'm afraid it is. That's why we don't have more men teachers. I mean, how can you afford to buy a house with a starting pay of $40,000 a year? So we have to look at the total budget. We have a very strong economy. We have a very strong county. But when it comes down to teachers' pay, they're always the last in line. So I have to go back to, and I thought the first question was going to be, what is the responsibility of county commissioners? It is, in fact, our responsibility to make the tough decisions. So when it comes down to who's going to get a raise, the last 4 years, the police, the sheriff's department, the jailers, they've all gotten a raise. The ambulance committee has gotten a raise. Teachers haven't gotten a raise. They got a raise the first year, and they got a raise this year. That's not putting priority on education. Now, what can we do? We just have to sit down and say, where can we cut the budget? Where can we cut the budget? It doesn't make any sense to say we're going to increase taxes if we waste money in projects that are not our priority.
Would you repeat that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Paying to keep county employees, including teachers in Giles County, is an ongoing problem. How do you propose the county commission balance the responsibility for fiscal responsibility and the need for commensurate pay for county employees?
I agree with Mr. Cesarini. When we first moved to Giles County, we had elected to homeschool our children. And we did so all the way through. I consider myself a teacher for that many years, so I understand the job that it takes and the patience it takes, even with my own children, let alone everyone else's children as well. I find it deplorable that football players and sports folks get paid the absorbent amounts of money, and teachers who are taking care of our future get so little. So if I'm elected to this position, I will absolutely work with our commissioners to work on that budget and to cut the budget and to make sure that our teachers are taken care of. It would be great to have a new school for our community. We'd love to have build up and more and progressive growth that is in a controlled manner. But in order to have a nice school, we've got to be able to retain the teachers to be able to serve in those schools. My son-in-law is an educator and is the breadwinner in their family, and I understand that struggle. It's desperate, and I do think we do need to do something about that.
Before you say anything else, did you have a follow-up on that? Okay, go.
As a follow-up to both of you, currently our county commission is working in telling each department they need to make budget cuts now. Both of you mentioned that the budget would have to be cut in order to increase teachers' salary. Could you be more specific on where you think those cuts could go?
We've already made the decisions. And again, we kicked the can down the road. We have not had a balanced budget in the last 3 years. We spend more money than we take in. Just give you an example. We're talking now about a new ambulance building. We're talking about a new high school. We're talking about developing exits 1, 6, 14, and 22. We're talking about $90 million in school renovation funds, and we haven't even discussed the courthouse. So where does the money going to come from? We have to make some pretty tough decisions. I mean, that's just where it comes down to. Can I give you a magic bullet? No, there's 21 commissioners. 21 commissioners, and they all have an opinion. I applaud Melissa Green and the job she's done the last 4 years, but it's like herding cats. They're all going in different directions. They all have different priorities. But we have to make sure that we keep our priorities straight. And for me, that's education. That has to be number one. That's our future.
Not serving currently in the commission, that's a little difficult of a question. But I do sit in on the budget meetings. I do go to the commission meetings. And yes, it's going to be a task. We are going to have to make some very, very hard decisions. But where do we start? We have to be able to sit down and determine that the teachers and the future of these children have got to come first.
Very good. This continues in that vein. As a follow-up to last night, the question was posed hypothetically if funding wasn't an issue. The priority would be the same with funding being an issue, obviously. If that is the number one priority, if dollars and cents was not an issue, it would still be the number one priority with that being an issue, and obviously it is. The county commission is ultimately responsible for funding the Board of Education and the schools. Do you think the county commission has done enough in its efforts to fund schools, and what would you add to that discussion as a commissioner? And Tammy, that'll go to you first.
Okay. To add to the discussion, repeat just the last question,
Okay.
the actual part of the question.
Do you think the county commission has done enough in its efforts to fund schools, and what would you add to the discussion as a commissioner? To add to that, any ideas on funding streams or possible cuts to permit additional funding?
I'm not sure where, because I'm not on the commission, I don't know where the cuts could come from. I do feel that if we want to have a strong community, we're going to have to find the places to get it from. And if we need to research new funding streams, perhaps there's something out there that we haven't looked into. Maybe we can go steps farther in other areas to try to find ways to get more money to come into the schools. I know that this is another thing that I feel very passionate about with the school shooting that happened recently. Brought back a flood of memories from years ago when we first moved here. I have ideas that I would like to help out in the schools, and you know, we have tornadoes here in the South. We don't have shelters that are adequate in the schools or in our community to help with that. We have these possibilities of things happening where you might have an active shooter in a school. I would love to see money coming into a school, not only for the teachers, but to fortifying the schools and perhaps building structures within schools where kids can go and be safe from shelter, from storms, from shooters, from whatever situation out there might happen. Again, that's going to cost money, but is that important to us? Do we care that much about it? The industry and the housing and all of the things that happen that have to fall into place to make your community strong. You want to have, you want to be able to take care of your schools first. There's such a broad thing that we have in front of us, and we have an opportunity, but we just need to sit down and work together and come up with new ideas to do that, because clearly what we're doing now isn't covering it.
I had the opportunity or the honor to serve on the vestry at my church for many years. And one of the things that we discussed every meeting was that we are the stewards of the bounty of the church. As a commissioner, we're the stewards of the treasury of the county. People look at us and say, don't waste our money. I mean, in fact, when you're running, they say, don't make any more boondoggles. And I'm thinking about the Hunter Smith building many years ago. And so At that point, though, you say, we're doing the best we can. We've squeezed this dollar, we've pinched this penny, we've done everything we can, but we have to now come back to the congregation and say, please, dig a little bit deeper in your pockets. So at this point, I have to say that we've got a sales tax referendum coming up. It's 25 cents on $100. 25 cents on $100. If you're going to Walmart or Davis and Eastlake or Johnson's now, you're already paying it. We're talking about extending it into the county, and more importantly, to the 4 exits. Everybody that comes through this county is spending money. That's money that can go towards education. So I'm asking us, please, everybody in this room, everybody that's listening, talk to 4 or 5 of your friends and convince them that this is important. It's important for the children of our county. We have to increase the funding. I mean, every time you go to the store, things are more expensive. We haven't had a property increase in years. So how do we fund the police? How do we pave the roads? How do we build new schools when we haven't raised our property taxes in years? Ask yourselves that. If you hadn't had a raise for 10 years and the price of gas is $5 a gallon, how are you going to put gas in your car to go to work? You have to go out and find more money. So asking you, please, I'm begging you, talk to your friends. Let's talk about 25 cents per $100. But it sounds like a little bit of money, but it ends up being a great deal of money. And it all goes towards helping the county solve our budget deficits. Thank you.
Next question, we'll start with you, Mr. Cesarini.
Thank you.
This is kind of a continuing point on looking to the future. Talk about the importance of strategic planning for our county government and for you as a county commissioner in making decisions about the county's future.
When I started working at Magato 40 years ago, we did strategic plans every year, and then we set goals, and then we measured them. I applaud Melissa. First thing we did when she took office was we came up with a strategic plan. The problem is Melissa's not my boss. The taxpayers are my boss. Melissa is not the boss of the commission. She chairs the meeting, but she's not the boss. Those 21 commissioners are her boss. They have the authority to vote. She only breaks a tie. It would be like saying that the Vice President of the United States is responsible for the Senate. Maybe, not really. She can break a tie once in a while. I can't believe that we've had one tie that Melissa's had to break. She came up with a strategic plan, and immediately people went in 21 different directions. I think it's a good idea to have a plan. I think it's a good idea to try to get everybody on the same page. But I just listed, these are all things that we have on our agenda. Teachers' pay, lump, $90 million, courthouse renovations. How are you going to get people together to make well, you have to build a coalition, and she's done a wonderful job of that. But building a coalition is really hard when you have 21 different people with 21 different life experiences and 21 different priorities. So to have a strategic plan is a great idea if you're in a company, and I could say, you do this, you do this, you do this. And I'm going to check on you in a month and see if you're finished. Melissa doesn't have that. So the burden's on us as commissioners. We have to say, now, I believe there was a strategic plan in the last commission. I don't think it ever got adopted. I don't think they even did one thing on it. We have a strategic plan, and we're trying to work towards it. We just had a meeting not too long ago, how we're going to spend the art money. It's important. We have to get together and decide what to do with this money. It's important. But again, she can't tell us what to do. She can't tell us what to think. It's up to us as commissioners. Thank you.
I've had a lot of experience in strategic planning, again, through the nonprofit. And yes, you do have to set goals, and they do have to be realistic, but it's about the people that you're surrounding yourself with to make those goals a reality. They have to be committed. I believe going out into the community and talking to the voters and the people that put you in the office, I would like to be that person who has my door open so that people can come and talk to me about their concerns so that we know what the public actually wants. I don't see a whole lot of that going on in the community. I don't see a lot of reaching out across lines and talking to people and sitting down and actually making these decisions. If I were a commissioner, that would be one of my primary goals, is to get out and meet the people and work with the other commissioners and make sure that their voices are heard and that we know what the priorities are. And sometimes priorities shift. Sometimes you have to make a turn in the road and do something different. But I believe it's the people who you surround yourself with and the team that you put together to make that go forward. And I also believe in looking out more than a couple of years. I think you need a 10-year plan. I think you need to look out further. Our town is growing whether we want it to or not. Giles County is growing whether we want it to or not. We have got to be on top of this and ahead of it instead of constantly chasing the ball. And I believe that Melissa has done an outstanding job, especially with COVID. We all know the struggles of that. Every single person in here has experienced the struggles. But when you start off with a plan and you get hamstringed, you know, that makes it kind of rough to get started. But she still surrounded herself with people and kept moving forward. Whoever ends up in these positions, they're going to have to work together and make sure that they have that vision, they have that goal, they have that drive, and they keep moving forward for the betterment of our community. Thank you.
I think we got time. This is a pretty good conversation, so we got time for one more question. I think we'll start with Tammy on it.
Okay. How do you think the county commission can control the potential negative impacts of growth and create a positive environment for development? How do you see the commission's role in facilitating that?
Just as I spoke, I feel like we need to stay ahead of it. We don't need to get behind it. We need to know that we're growing. We need to understand that the industry is important. Economic growth is important. Quality of life is important. You're not going to get people in here if you don't have a quality of life. They're going to live in other counties and they might come in here to work, but you want them living here. You want them paying taxes here. So we have those funds to be able to pay for the teachers and pay for the schools and pay for the things that we want to get done and need to get done to protect and to serve our community. We can't just let it roll over the top of us. We have to keep moving forward to get that focus and make certain that we're caring for the community, everyone in the community, the seniors, the children's. There's an untapped tourism in this community that's just unbelievable. There's so many things about our area that are charming and people want to come and visit. Look at how many people are moving into this area, which again shows you the growth that's happening. We need to be understanding of what that change is going to be like in our community. But in order for the schools and the industry and the housing, everything has to grow at a rate, and we just need to keep control and keep it steady and again communicate with each other and make sure that we're staying on top of it.
Could you repeat the question, please?
How do you think the county commission can control the potential negative impacts of growth and create a positive environment for development?
This is something dear to my heart. 20 years ago, our fathers, the women in the community got together and we came up with a land use management plan. We were under siege. We were going to have an incinerator put in that would probably have negatively affected this county for generations. I'm sure we wouldn't have Frito-Lay, and I'm sure we wouldn't have UT Southern here if that had come in. We had a land use management plan, and we had a group very vehemently opposed to it. Very vehemently opposed to it for the last 20 years. They took us to court many times. They lost every time. So they couldn't win in court, so they decided they were going to take it over in the Regional Planning Commission. So I think we were told that if we rescinded it, that we would have a new plan, better plan, within a few months. That hasn't happened. I don't think there's any intention of it happening. So if you want to have unlimited growth in any direction that anybody wants to do, keep going the way we're going. Now, if you look at Davidson County, Williamson County, Marshall County, Lincoln County, They all have zoning. Why is that? Because they want to control the way the county's going to grow. We're wide open. So that means we're a target. People that want to bring in any kind of industry can come here. We have no way to stop them. Now, we could say we want a zoning because we want to stop this industry from coming in. We can't stop anybody from coming in. If they're illegal, they're going to come in. We just have to make the regulations tight enough that they go somewhere else. So to wrap it up, if you want to save this county, and I'm passionate about this, if you want to save this county, I would charge the Regional Planning Commission to do what they said they were going to do and come up with a new land use management plan to protect us from industries that we don't want here. Please.
Thank you, guys. We'll start with Tammy. If there's something that you would like to hit on that we didn't hit on, you'll have about a minute and a half to wrap up.
First of all, I want to thank you all for allowing me to participate in this, Scott, and everyone who put it together, the college, the community, all of you out there who are voters. I would just encourage people to get involved out there. If you're not a person who gets involved and understands why people are running for an office, learn about that person. You might agree with me, you might not. You might agree with Mr. Cesarini, you might not. But ask questions of the people that are running. It's invaluable. This is our community. We need to be the ones that are taking it forward into the next level. We all need to be doing that. So please ask the questions of every person running for a commission seat and for a public office. It's just that important to me. I want you to ask me. My door is open, and I appreciate your vote.
I am honored to be here today. I'm honored to be the representative from District 3. I wish we had the other two incumbents here because they would have given me a little bit more to battle. I hate to beat up on somebody that hasn't been in the office. I would ask them the question, how do you stand behind your vote? How do you stand behind your vote? Ask them the question. When you see them out now, how do you stand behind your vote? Ask them that. I'll be glad to answer. I'm in the phone book, Mike Cesarini. Call me. If you don't agree with me, let me know. But I've had more people call me and say, I agree with you. Keep it up. Keep it up. So if you want me to be your representative for the next 4 years, please vote for me. Thank you. Thank you.
Now it's the big break, guys. Y'all can, we're going to take about